AITA for calling out my fiancé's clarity coach scheme at her big announcement dinner? I'm Luca, 36, and on the night Celeste tried to use me as a prop in front of our families. We had been married for 8 years. We were still the couple people asked to host game nights because we remembered who hated mushrooms, who drank decaf, and which cousin always showed up late. That was the part that messed with my head. From the outside, we looked steady. Inside the house, I had started measuring our marriage by how long she could sit next to me without checking her phone. Our marriage had been tense for almost a year, but not in the loud, plate-smashing way people imagine when they hear bad marriage. It was quieter than that. It was Celeste answering my questions with half a sentence while smiling at her phone. It was me making dinner and watching her push food around her plate like eating with me was a chore she had to get through. It was us folding laundry on opposite sides of the bed while the TV filled the space between us because neither of us wanted to admit how far apart we felt. I'm not going to pretend I was perfect. I shut down sometimes. When arguments went in circles, I got quiet because I didn't want to say something cruel just to win. Celeste hated that. She used to say, "You disappear while standing right in front of me." Maybe she was right about parts of that. But shutting down during a conflict is not the same thing as giving someone permission to build a second life and then ask you to smile for the picture. Celeste had always branded herself as brutally honest. That was her phrase, not mine. She said lying was the one thing she couldn't tolerate. When we were dating, she once stopped speaking to a friend for 2 months because the friend had lied about canceling plans. "If you can lie about the small stuff," she told me then, "you can lie about anything." That sentence came back to me a lot later on. The first changes were easy to explain away because they weren't dramatic. She changed her phone passcode. She started keeping it face down on the table. She took calls in the laundry room, even when the rest of the house was quiet. If I walked into the kitchen while she was texting, her thumb would swipe up and the screen would go dark. At first, I tried to be reasonable. "Everything okay?" I asked one night while she stood by the pantry, typing with both thumbs. She didn't look up. Why wouldn't it be? "You've just been on your phone a lot." That got her attention. Not guilt. Annoyance. "Can I have one thing that's private, Luca?" The word private landed exactly where she meant it to. I stepped back. I didn't want to be the husband who hovered over his wife's shoulder demanding to see her messages. I didn't want to become controlling because I felt insecure. So I said, "Sure," and let the silence settle. After that, every normal question became an interrogation. If she said she was going to dinner with Paige and I asked what time she thought she'd be home, she would sigh like I had asked for her location history. "I don't know." Later. "Okay, I was just asking." "No, you were monitoring." That word started showing up everywhere. Monitoring. Controlling. Cold. Emotionally unavailable. She used words like they were labels she had printed ahead of time, just waiting to stick on me. Sometimes I heard pieces of her phone calls when she forgot how sound carried in the hallway. "I feel alone even when he's in the room," she said once, her voice soft and wounded in a way I hadn't heard directed at me in months. I stood in the kitchen with a sponge in my hand, staring at a plate I had already washed. When she came back in, I asked, "Do you want to talk about that?" "About what?" "Being alone in your marriage." Her face tightened. "Were you listening to my private call?" "I was washing dishes. You were in the next room." "See? That's what I mean. You turn everything into evidence." That became another one of her lines. Evidence. Trial. Interrogation. She made any request for clarity sound like a courtroom attack. And because I did have a habit of going quiet, because I knew I wasn't the warmest person when I felt cornered, I kept second-guessing myself. The worst part was that I believed enough of it to keep apologizing. My sister Maya saw it before I did. Maya is 5 years younger than me and has never had much patience for polite suffering. She came over one afternoon to return a cooler she had borrowed from us. Celeste was in the kitchen, scrolling on her phone while I asked whether she wanted me to pick up groceries for dinner. "Do whatever," Celeste said. "I'm asking because if you're not eating here, I won't buy extra." She set her phone down hard. "Why does every question from you feel like a trap?" I said nothing. That was my move. Silence. Jaw tight. Breath measured. Celeste grabbed her keys and said, "I can't do this," then left through the side door. Maya waited until the car pulled out before she said anything. "She keeps calling you cold because it makes your questions sound cruel." I rubbed my forehead. "I do shut down sometimes. That's not the same as being guilty." She says I make her feel interrogated. Then she can answer like a married adult instead of making you apologize for noticing reality. I didn't want to hear it because hearing it meant I had to stop giving Celeste the benefit of the doubt like it was a marital duty. But Maya wasn't done. Being calm does not mean you have to stand still while someone moves the line. I remember that sentence because I wrote it down later. Not then. Later. After the kitchen text. After I realized how much of my life had been narrated for me. The announcement dinner came up on a Tuesday. Celeste walked into the living room with her phone in one hand and a careful smile on her face. I made a reservation for Saturday, she said. For what? Dinner. Both families. A few close friends. I looked up from the bills I was sorting. That's a lot of people. I have something important to share. What kind of important? Her smile flickered, but only for a second. Can you not do that? Do what? Make this heavy before it even happens. I set down the envelope in my hand. I'm asking what the dinner is for. It's an announcement, Luca. You'll understand when I say it. That was the first time the word announcement made my stomach drop instead of lift. There are normal announcements in a marriage. A new house, a career move, a family milestone, a surprise trip. But her tone wasn't excited. It was staged. I think your husband should know before both our families do, I said. She folded her arms. I need you beside me, not interrogating me. Beside you for what? For once, can you not make this about your anxiety? I stared at her. My anxiety. Yes. Your need to control how everything unfolds. I almost laughed, not because it was funny, but because I suddenly felt a tiredness deep in my bones. She had invited both our families and close friends to a dinner for something she refused to tell me about, and somehow I was the controlling one for asking what it was. Celeste, I said slowly, if you want me standing beside you in front of everyone, you need to tell me what I'm standing for. She looked at me for a long second, then her expression softened. Not honestly. Strategically. It's good news, she said. It's just emotionally complicated, and I don't want you going into your cold mode. My cold mode. You know what I mean. I didn't, not really. But I knew enough to stop asking in that moment. The morning of the dinner, I was making coffee when everything cracked open. Celeste had left her phone on the kitchen counter, face up for once, next to a bowl of cut strawberries she had barely touched. She was near the sink, humming under her breath while rinsing a glass. The house smelled like coffee and toasted bread. It was so ordinary that I think my brain tried to reject what I saw. Her phone lit up. Adrian, are you really going to let him stand there for the announcement? I didn't pick up the phone. I didn't touch it. It was right there between my mug and the fruit bowl, bright enough to read without trying. Celeste saw my face before she saw the screen. She moved fast. Too fast. She snatched the phone and held it against her chest. Why are you looking at my phone? It lit up right in front of me. Privacy is not a crime. I didn't say it was. You're acting like I did something wrong because someone texted me. Who is Adrian? Her eyes sharpened. A friend. What announcement is he asking about? Luca, I am not doing this right now. That's convenient. See, she snapped. This is exactly why I didn't want to tell you anything. You turn every moment into a trial. I looked at the coffee mug in my hand and realized my grip was so tight my knuckles were white. I set it down before I dropped it. What is the announcement? I asked. She put her phone in her back pocket like I might lunge for it. You'll find out tonight with everyone else. That sentence did more than anger me. It clarified something. She wasn't withholding because she was nervous. She was withholding because the timing mattered. The audience mattered. My ignorance mattered. I wanted to ask more. I wanted to say Adrian's name until she flinched. I wanted to demand the phone. I wanted to be the person she had been accusing me of being, so I could at least deserve the accusation for 5 minutes. Instead, I said, okay. That scared her more than yelling would have. Okay, she said. Okay. You're going to ruin tonight, aren't you? I haven't done anything. That tone, Luca. I picked up my keys. I'm going for a drive. She followed me to the front room. Do not make me regret including you. I paused with my hand on the doorknob. Including me in what? She didn't answer. So I left. I drove 3 blocks, pulled into the far end of a parking lot, and called Owen. He answered on the second ring, his voice already telling me he knew something was wrong. What happened? I told him about the announcement dinner. The text preview. Adrian. Celeste grabbing the phone. Her refusing to explain. Owen was quiet for maybe 3 seconds. Then he said, "Do not text her." I wasn't going to. "You were thinking about it." I was thinking about a lot of things. Don't send voice notes. Don't send threats. Don't send some long paragraph she can crop to make you look unstable. I'm not unstable. I know. She doesn't need you to be unstable. She just needs one sentence that can look unstable. That landed. Owen had been through a brutal breakup years earlier where one angry voicemail got passed around like it explained a 3-year relationship. He had learned the hard way that people who want a clean villain only need one ugly moment. So what do? I asked. Facts first. Feelings after. I have a text preview. You have more than that if you stop panicking and start looking at what you actually have access to. Shared bank statements. Shared calendar. Family email. Receipts. Group chats. Not her phone. Not anything illegal. Your accounts. Your life. Start there. I sat there with the car running, watching people walk in and out of a store with their weekend errands. My marriage was imploding, and someone was loading paper towels into a trunk 10 feet away. Owen said, softer, "A folder beats a fight." That sounded almost ridiculous at the time. It also probably saved me. I went back home only after Celeste left for a hair appointment she claimed she had forgotten to mention. I didn't touch her laptop. I didn't guess any passwords. I didn't do anything that would let her turn the truth into a debate about how I found it. I opened what had my name on it. The shared bank account looked normal at first. Groceries, gas, coffee, automatic payments. Then there were charges that didn't fit. A hotel bar from 2 months earlier. A rideshare trip after midnight on a Thursday when Celeste had told me she was sleeping at Paige's because they had watched movies too late. A restaurant charge for 2 entrees and 2 cocktails on a night our shared calendar said Paige birthday prep, except Paige's birthday was 3 weeks later. The family email had old notification copies from the shared calendar. Celeste had deleted some entries from the calendar itself, but the email notices remained. Dinner A. Parking. Meeting moved later. Vague enough to be defensible if I found them one by one, but the pattern was obvious when the dates lined up. I checked Venmo and Zelle records connected to our shared expenses. There were small transfers with captions like dinner, parking, and OU, and one from Celeste to Paige that just said brunch debt with a laughing emoji. On its own, nothing. But the timestamp was 1 hour after I had texted Celeste asking if she was still at Paige's. In the group chat, Paige had replied, "Girls' night was fun. Tell Luca we didn't kidnap you LOL." No photos. No tagged posts. No one else in the chat confirming they were there. Then I found the first concrete message that made my blood run cold. It wasn't in Celeste's private messages. It was in a couple's group chat where Celeste and Paige had forgotten I could still see older replies through the backup search in the app. Celeste had typed, "If he asks, I was with you until 11. Paige replied, "Got it. But you owe me brunch." I stared at that line so long the screen dimmed. The betrayal wasn't just that Celeste had lied. It was that she had casually invited other people into the lie, then used their fake normalcy to make me feel paranoid. I took screenshots. I labeled them with dates. I emailed copies to a new address Owen told me to create for documentation only. I didn't print anything yet. I just built the timeline. Hotel charge. Rideshare after midnight. Page cover text. Deleted calendar entry. Group chat comment. Restaurant receipt. Then Adrian's name started appearing in the edges. A dinner reservation confirmation had initials in the notes. A rideshare pickup location matched the restaurant from the receipt. In one shared photo album from an office holiday party Celeste had attended with friends, Adrian stood beside her with his hand on her lower back. Not explicit. Not enough by itself. But too familiar to be nothing, especially when paired with everything else. I found one message preview preserved in a notification summary on the family email account because Celeste had linked some apps there years earlier and apparently forgotten. "Adrian, I hate leaving you to go home to him." Celeste reply preview. "He only sees what makes him comfortable." I sat at the kitchen table and let myself feel the first wave for maybe 30 seconds. Then I wrote the words down exactly. Owen called again around noon. "Tell me you didn't confront her." "I didn't." "Good." I found Paige covering for her. "How much?" "Enough." Enough is a dangerous word. Make it specific. So I did. I read him dates and charges and messages. He interrupted only once. "Do you have copies?" "Yes." "Do you have the announcement text?" Only the preview. Then don't assume the whole thing yet. But act like you're about to be manipulated in public. That was the thing about Owen. He didn't feed my anger. He focused it. Celeste came home around 1 with her hair curled and her mood polished. She found me at the table with my phone, not my folder. The folder didn't exist yet. "You're still mad," she said. "I'm thinking. Same thing with you." I looked at her. "Are you going to tell me what tonight is?" She touched the back of one earring, a nervous habit she pretended wasn't nervous. "I need you to trust me." I did. "You still can." "No," I said. "I can be calm." "That's different." Her face changed again. A small flash of anger, then hurt, then something careful. "Please don't embarrass me tonight." That was the second time she used that word. Embarrass. Not hurt. Not betray. Not blindside. Embarrass. "What are you worried I'll say?" I asked. "You always do this." "I'm asking a question." "You make me feel unsafe to be honest." I almost answered. I almost said, "Then be honest and we'll test that theory." But Owen's voice was still in my head. "Don't hand her a screenshot of you losing control." So I stood up and said, "I need to make a call." "Another one?" "Yes." She watched me walk out like I was the one hiding something. The lawyer I spoke to that afternoon was named Marin. Owen found her through someone he trusted. I expected her to talk like a lawyer on TV, all threats and dramatic phrases. She didn't. She was practical to the point of bluntness. "Do not make statements tonight that you may spend months trying to undo," she said. I don't even know what she's announcing. You have enough indicators to be careful. If the announcement involves financial obligations, legal responsibility, public acknowledgement, or anything that could be framed later as your acceptance, you do not agree to anything in the moment. I'm not trying to dodge responsibility. I didn't say you were. Responsibility requires truth. You don't have truth yet. I told her about Adrian's text preview, the receipts, the cover messages, the possibility that Celeste was about to announce something personal in front of both families. Marin was quiet while she took notes. Then she said, "You can tell the truth. You just need to tell it cleanly." So I say nothing. You don't rant. You don't accuse beyond what you can support. You don't make medical claims. You don't make threats. You say you were brought into a public setting under false pretenses. You have evidence of an affair and a plan to use your presence as an endorsement, and you will not sign, claim, or publicly accept responsibility for anything without verification through appropriate channels. The word verification made my chest tighten. She might be announcing she's pregnant, I said. I suspected that from what you described. I stared at the wall. For a second, I felt like my body had been hollowed out. Marin's voice softened a fraction. I know that is painful. Keep this centered on process and truth. Do not turn it into a spectacle about biology at the table. Your point is that she chose a public announcement before having a private, honest conversation with her husband. What about finances? Separate what you can legally separate. Do not drain shared accounts. Do not hide marital funds. Open an individual account for your income going forward if appropriate. Document shared expenses. Pause discretionary transfers that are not necessary bills. Keep mortgage and automatic payments clear. Save records. I was thinking of canceling one card. Is it solely in your name? Yes. She's an authorized user. You can usually remove an authorized user on an account that is yours, but document when and why. Don't do anything designed to punish. Do things designed to protect. That became my rule for the rest of the day. Protect, don't perform. After the call, I opened an individual account. I copied mortgage paperwork. I downloaded statements. I listed automatic payments in a notebook because I didn't want Celeste later claiming I had abandoned our bills. I paused 2 discretionary transfers we used for entertainment spending. I flagged unusual charges with screenshots, not accusations. I removed Celeste as an authorized user from the credit card that was solely in my name, then saved the confirmation. I did not touch the shared account beyond normal documentation. I did not empty anything. I did not play games with money. I was not draining accounts or trying to scare her. I was removing the fuse from a bomb she had rolled under my name. Around 3, the final message appeared. Not on her phone. Not through hacking. Celeste had opened the messaging app on our shared desktop earlier that week to print something, and the notification center still showed previews of recent synced messages. I had used that desktop for years. It sat in the open office nook off the living room. My account was logged in. The preview was there when I moved the mouse. Adrian, if Lucas stands beside you, he's stuck in the story. Celeste, he won't make a scene. He cares too much about looking decent. Adrian, that feels wrong, Celeste. Celeste, the public setting is the point. Once everyone hears it with him there, they'll understand he's involved. Adrian, you told me you were handling him. Celeste, I am. I need to control the timeline. There are moments when pain gets so sharp it turns clean. That was one of them. Until that line, I had been heartbroken and angry. After that line, I became focused. She had not just cheated. She had studied me. She had taken the part of me that tried to be restrained and decent in public and built a trap around it. She knew I hated scenes. She knew I didn't like humiliating people. She knew I would rather absorb discomfort than make a dinner table go silent. And she planned to use that to make my silence look like consent. I took screenshots. I printed them. I called Owen. I have it, I said. What? The whole thing. Stuck in the story. He won't make a scene. Public setting is the point. Owen breathed out hard. Okay, listen to me. Do not bring a suitcase of pain. Bring a folder of facts. That might be the most depressingly good advice I've ever heard. I'm serious. 1-page timeline. 5 key screenshots. 2 receipts. Shared charge list. Lawyer note. If they start yelling, you stop talking. What if she cries? She will. What if her mother says I'm cruel? She will. What if I lose it? You won't. You're allowed to be calm and still be done. I made the folder at the dining table where Celeste and I used to wrap gifts together. I found old tabs in a drawer from tax season and labeled them. Timeline, messages, receipts, shared charges, legal notes. The timeline was 1 page. Dates. Not insults. Not conclusions. Just facts. On March 14th, Celeste told me she was with Paige until late. Rideshare receipt shows pickup after midnight from a hotel bar. Page group chat cover message sent at 12:21 a.m. On April 8th, restaurant charge for 2. Calendar entry deleted. Email notification preserved. On May 19th, Celeste texted Paige. If he asks, I was with you until 11. Paige replied, got it, but you owe me brunch. On June 3rd, Adrian message preview. I hate leaving you to go home to him. On the day of the announcement dinner, Adrian wrote, if Lucas stands beside you, he's stuck in the story. Celeste replied, he won't make a scene. He cares too much about looking decent. I included the lawyer's note in plain language. I would not make public commitments, sign acknowledgments, accept legal or financial responsibility, or participate in any narrative until relevant facts were verified through proper channels. All further communication about serious matters would be documented. I made 3 copies. 1 for me, 1 for the table, 1 for Marin later. Celeste didn't notice the folder when we left because I put it inside a plain envelope and carried it under my jacket. She was too busy performing softness. She wore a cream-colored dress I had bought her for our anniversary the year before. She touched my arm twice in the car. Both times I had to remind myself not to pull away. You look nice, she said. Thanks. I know things have been hard. I watched the road. Do you? She exhaled. Please don't do that tonight. What? Make me feel like I'm asking permission to have feelings. I almost laughed again. She was rehearsing, even in the passenger seat. When we pulled up to the restaurant, she reached for my hand. I let her take it. Not because I forgave her, but because the point was not to tip the stage before the curtain rose. Both families were already there, plus Paige, Owen, Maya, and a few mutual friends. The reservation was in a private room, not fancy, but separate enough to feel intentional. A long table, water glasses filled, bread baskets already half empty, a few jackets draped over chairs. Someone had brought a gift bag, even though no one seemed clear on what we were celebrating. Lorraine, Celeste's mother, greeted me with a stiff kiss on the cheek. Tonight is about supporting Celeste, she said quietly. Maya, standing close enough to hear, tilted her head. Supporting what exactly? Lorraine gave her a look. You'll understand soon. Celeste squeezed my hand harder. Everyone will. Paige avoided my eyes. That told me almost as much as the folder did. She hugged Celeste too tightly, then gave me a little wave like we were casual acquaintances. Hey, Luca. Paige. Her smile failed. Owen arrived last and sat where he could see me. He didn't speak much. He just tapped 2 fingers against the table once, a small signal. Facts first. Feelings after. Dinner started with small talk that felt like people walking on thin ice. Lorraine kept glancing at Celeste like a stage mother waiting for a cue. Celeste's father asked me if work had been busy, then seemed relieved when I gave a short answer. My aunt asked whether we were still hosting game nights, and Celeste said, "Hopefully soon, once things settle." Maya stared at her glass. Paige drank water like it had offended her. Celeste was affectionate in a way she hadn't been in private for months. She touched my sleeve when someone told a joke. She leaned toward me when the server came by. She laughed with her head tilted close to my shoulder. To anyone else, we probably looked like a couple coming out of a hard season stronger. To me, every touch felt like tape being wrapped around my wrists. Halfway through dinner, Lorraine tapped her fork gently against her glass. Not loud, just enough to gather attention. "I think Celeste has something she'd like to share," she said, her eyes already damp. The room turned toward my wife. Celeste stood, still holding my hand. Her palm was warm. Mine was cold. "I know everyone has felt some distance from us lately," she began. "And I know some of you have worried about me. About us." She glanced at me with a look so tender it made my stomach turn. "We have been through a hard season. Marriage is complicated. There are times when you feel unseen and scared and alone, and you don't know how to say what you need." Maya's chair shifted slightly. Owen didn't move. Celeste continued, her voice trembling in exactly the right places. "But I don't want to live in fear anymore. I don't want to hide from the people who love me. We're entering a new chapter, and I need everyone with us." She placed her free hand low against her stomach. Several people inhaled at once. Lorraine covered her mouth. Paige closed her eyes. Celeste turned slightly, angling her body toward me so the whole room could see us connected. "And I hope," she said, squeezing my hand, "that tonight can be the start of healing instead of blame." That was the trap. Not one sentence. The whole structure. Both families. Close friends. Her hand in mine. Her carefully vague language about distance and fear. Her mother already primed to see me as the cold husband. Paige already prepared to cover gaps. Adrian already believing some version where Celeste was handling me. And me, standing there, silent enough to be turned into an agreement. I let the silence stretch just long enough for everyone to understand what she was presenting. Then I pulled my hand away. The room noticed. You could feel it. Celeste's smile froze. "Luca." I took the envelope from inside my jacket and placed it on the table. The sound was small, but in that room, it landed like a door closing. "I agree everyone deserves the truth before they decide who to support," I said. Celeste's face went pale. "Do not do this here," she whispered. I looked at her. "You chose the audience. I'm correcting the script." Lorraine stood halfway from her chair. "Luca, there are ways to handle family matters." "There are," I said. "Privately, honestly, before using me in a public announcement." Celeste's eyes filled with tears. "You're making this uglier than it has to be." "No, I'm refusing to let you use me as damage control." I opened the folder and slid the first page toward the middle of the table. I did not pass around everything at once. I did not raise my voice. I did not say words I couldn't support. "This is a timeline," I said. "It includes dates, receipts, messages, and shared account charges." Celeste has been involved with Adrian while telling me she was with Paige or at family events. A cousin muttered, "Who's Adrian?" Paige looked at her lap. I continued. "Today I saw a message from Adrian asking if Celeste was really going to let me stand beside her for the announcement. Later, I found the exchange where he wrote, 'If Lucas stands beside you, he's stuck in the story.' Celeste replied, 'He won't make a scene. He cares too much about looking decent.'" The room went so still I could hear the server's card in the hallway. Celeste shook her head. "You had no right to dig through my life." I looked at records I legally had access to. Our shared accounts. Our shared calendar. Our shared email notifications. Our group chats. "You built the lie in places with my name on them. You're trying to ruin me," she said. "I will not sign my name to a story built with another man." Lorraine picked up the page with the messages. Her hands shook just enough to rattle the paper. "Celeste," she said, "is any of this fake?" Celeste looked at her mother, then at me, then at Paige. "Mom, please." That is not an answer. Celeste's tears started then. Real ones, I think. Panic can be real even when remorse is late. "I was scared," she said. "I was scared to tell him because he always makes everything cold. He was emotionally gone long before this." Maya spoke for the first time. So you invited both our families to watch him endorse a lie? Celeste turned on her. You don't know our marriage. I know he asked what tonight was, and you wouldn't tell him, Maya said. I know you called him controlling for wanting basic honesty. Paige pushed back from the table slightly. I didn't know it was this serious. Maya looked at her. You knew enough to lie. I was just trying to be there for my friend, Paige said, her voice thin. I flipped to the message tab and held up the screenshot without handing my phone to anyone. May 19th. Celeste wrote, if he asks, I was with you until 11. You replied, got it. But you owe me brunch. Paige's face went red. That was one night. I turned one page. There are more. Celeste glared at her. Paige. That one word told everyone Paige had not misunderstood. It told them this was not a friend accidentally giving a cover story once. It was an arrangement. Lorraine lowered herself back into her chair. I need to understand something, she said, and for the first time that night, she sounded less like Celeste's defender and more like a woman realizing she had been handed a script too. Were you planning to tell Luca before tonight? Celeste wiped her cheeks. I wanted everyone calm. That is not what I asked. I needed support. From him, Lorraine asked, nodding toward me. Or for the version where he couldn't object? Celeste opened her mouth, but nothing useful came out. One mutual friend, Tessa, looked at me with a pained expression. Luca, you could have handled this privately. I turned to her. She made it public when she invited everyone to watch me endorse a lie. Nobody answered that. I placed the lawyer's note on the table last. I am not refusing responsibility. I am refusing a lie. I will not sign anything, claim anything, or make public commitments until the facts are handled through proper legal channels. All serious communication from this point forward needs to be in writing or through counsel. Celeste stared at me like she had never seen me before. You talked to a lawyer before you talked to me? You planned this dinner before you talked to me. Her father rubbed a hand over his face. Lorraine was still staring at the screenshot. Paige's eyes flicked toward the door. Owen sat silent, but his presence felt like a hand at my back. Celeste tried again, her voice breaking. You're humiliating me during the most vulnerable moment of my life. I looked around the table. At the relatives who had come expecting a touching announcement. At the friends who had been fed versions of me for months. At Maya, whose jaw was tight with anger she was restraining for my sake. At Paige, who had helped make my confusion look irrational. At Lorraine, who had called tonight support before she knew what support meant. Then I looked back at Celeste. You chose the room, I said. I brought the missing pages. I left after that. Not dramatically. I didn't storm out. I didn't slam the door. I collected my copy of the folder, gave Owen a small nod, and walked out of the private room while Celeste cried behind me and several people began talking at once. Maya caught up with me near the entrance. Are you okay? No. Do you want me to come with you? I looked through the glass doors at the parking lot. The sky had gone dark while we were inside. I need a minute. She nodded. You did the right thing. I don't feel like it. You're not supposed to feel good after surgery. That made me laugh once, short and humorless. Owen came out next. He didn't ask if I was okay. He knew better. You said enough, he told me. Now stop talking. I know. I mean it. They're going to text. She's going to call. Her mother might call. Friends will pick sides before reading anything. Do not give them a fresh emotional quote. My hands are shaking. Let them shake. Just don't type with them. He drove me back. I did not go home that night. I stayed in his guest room with a blanket that smelled like detergent and dog, staring at the ceiling while my phone lit up like an emergency flare. Celeste called 16 times. I didn't answer. Her texts came in waves. You destroyed me. How could you do that in front of my mother? This is exactly why I was scared. You made my announcement about your ego. Then, later. Please talk to me. I'm alone. You don't understand what you did. Then, after midnight. Adrian is furious. What did you send him? I hadn't sent Adrian anything. Not yet. I didn't need to. Celeste had apparently done what people like her do when they lose control of one audience. She ran to the next one with a revised script and accidentally revealed too much. The next morning, Owen made coffee while I sat at his kitchen island with my phone face down. You need to go home for documents, he said. I know. Not alone. Maya offered. Good. Take boxes. Get the important stuff. Passport, tax records, mortgage copies, sentimental items. Not half the furniture. Don't make it look like revenge. I'm tired of being careful. I know. Be careful anyway. So I did. Maya met me at the house 2 hours later. Celeste wasn't there. Her car was gone, and the quiet inside the house felt different. Not peaceful. Abandoned. I packed documents first. Passport, birth certificate, tax returns, mortgage papers, insurance files, old hard drives that were mine. A small box of family photos from before Celeste. My grandfather's watch. A stack of letters Maya had sent me when she was in college. I left our shared wedding albums on the shelf because I wasn't ready to touch them, and I didn't want to fight about who owned the past. In the bedroom, Celeste had left the cream dress on a chair. One sleeve hung down like it was reaching for the floor. Maya saw me looking at it and said, "Don't." I wasn't going to. You were thinking. Everyone thinks I'm predictable. No, she said. She thought decent meant harmless. I put my wedding ring in a small envelope and left it in my drawer. Not as a message. I just couldn't keep wearing it, and I didn't want to make a dramatic show of taking it off. I rented a storage unit that afternoon and saved the receipt. Every step had a paper trail. Every decision had a reason. Marin's office sent the first formal email by the end of the day. All communication regarding separation, finances, property, and potential legal responsibilities should go through counsel or written channels. Celeste hated that more than the folder. "You're being cold," she wrote. I almost replied, "No, I'm being careful because you made honesty expensive." Then I copied the sentence into an email draft to Marin instead. She sent it officially later, cleaned up into lawyer language that sounded less satisfying but more useful. Within 48 hours, the group chats started collapsing. The family chat was first. Lorraine sent a message asking everyone to stop speculating and give Celeste space. One of Celeste's cousins replied with a praying hands emoji. Another asked, "Was the stuff Luca showed real?" No one answered for 20 minutes. Then Paige left the chat. That did more damage than any speech I could have given. In the couples group chat, the tone was messier. Tessa, I still think dinner was not the place. Maya, dinner was the place Celeste chose. Friend, there was a kinder way. Owen, using him as a prop was not kind. Paige, I'm not getting dragged into this. Maya, you were already in it. I didn't type it first. I watched the bubbles appear and disappear. I watched people who had accepted Celeste's soft-focus version of our marriage try to decide whether facts were rude because they arrived inconveniently. Then Celeste posted on social media. It was vague, of course. She was good at vague. Sometimes the people who promise to protect you choose humiliation instead. I'm learning that vulnerability can be weaponized, and I'm asking for privacy while I heal. The comments started quickly. So sorry, love. You deserve gentleness. Some people show their true colors when life gets real. I stared at that last one longer than I should have. Owen called before I could react. I know you saw it. How? Because I saw it, and I know your face right now. I'm not going to rant. Good. Then don't. She's still deleting the middle of the story. Then send the middle to the people she dragged into it. Not the internet. Not her comments. The people at the dinner, and anyone directly repeating her version. Marin agreed. Clean timeline. Limited distribution. No insults. No intimate medical details. No speculation about anything you cannot prove. The purpose is not punishment. The purpose is self-defense. So I wrote one message and sent it to the family and mutual friends who had either been at the dinner or had contacted me afterward with accusations. I will not argue with a version of events that deletes the part where I was set up. Celeste invited both families and close friends to an announcement without telling me privately what it was, while evidence shows she was involved with Adrian and had discussed using my public presence to make me stuck in the story. I am sharing the timeline and supporting records only with people who were brought into this situation or have directly commented on it. I will not discuss private legal matters in group chats. I will not accept responsibility for a story built without truth. Then I attached the timeline. Not every receipt. Not every painful detail. Just enough. The reaction was immediate, then silent. Lorraine, everyone needs to calm down. Tessa, Luca, this was cruel. Maya, cruel was using him as a prop. Paige, I covered one night. Maybe two. I didn't think it would become this. Maya, you knew enough to lie. A cousin, Celeste, is the Adrian text real? No answer. Another cousin, Celeste? Still no answer. Lorraine finally wrote, Celeste, answer privately if you need to. but answer. Celeste did not answer in the chat. She called me instead. I let it go to voicemail. Marin told me not to listen alone, so I forwarded it to her office. The transcript came back later. You are making this impossible. You are punishing me because I didn't tell the story your way. I needed support. You were emotionally gone. Adrian was there for me when you weren't. But I never meant to hurt you like this. I thought if everyone was there, it would keep things calm. That line made Marin pause during our call. She admitted the public setting was designed to control the reaction, she said. Not in those exact words. In useful enough words. Adrian entered the fallout by accident. Or maybe by ego. I'm still not sure. Celeste forwarded him part of the timeline, probably expecting him to be outraged on her behalf. Instead, he texted her messages she screenshotted and sent to Paige, who then sent them to someone else in a panic, and eventually they landed with Owen. That's how these things go when too many people are keeping pieces of the same secret. Everyone thinks they are controlling the leak until the whole ceiling gives way. Adrian, you told me you were handling him. Celeste, I was trying to protect everyone. Adrian, no, you were trying to trap everyone. Celeste, you knew this was complicated. Adrian, I knew you were married. I did not know you were using him as a shield. I didn't feel sorry for Adrian. He knew enough. He knew she was married. He sent messages about me like I was an obstacle, not a person. But I did believe he hadn't understood that Celeste was giving him one version and the dinner table another. He distanced himself fast once the affair stopped feeling romantic and started feeling like evidence. A week after the dinner, Celeste sent me an email through Marin saying Adrian had abandoned her because I had poisoned everything. Marin asked whether I wanted to respond. I said no. That was one of the first small victories. Not clever revenge. Not a perfect comeback. Just no. Lorraine changed slowly. At first, she blamed me for the exposure more than Celeste for the lie. She sent Marin a message asking for a private family meeting before lawyers made everything worse. Marin forwarded it to me with one sentence. You do not owe anyone an audience. I declined through her. Lorraine tried again, this time softer. Luca, I know Celeste made mistakes, but you have to understand she was scared. There are ways to protect family dignity. I wrote a response and deleted it 3 times. The one that went out through Marin was short. Family dignity was not protected by asking me to stand beside a story I had not been told. I will communicate through counsel. A month later, Lorraine sent a different message. I saw the full dates. I did not understand how long this had been going on. I am sorry for assuming you were being cruel. It wasn't enough to fix anything. But it was the first time someone from Celeste's side acknowledged the timeline without trying to soften it. Paige's consequences were social, which suited the role she had chosen. She tried to tell people she had only known pieces. The problem was that screenshots have dates, and group chats have memory. Mutual friends started asking why she had covered for Celeste, while letting everyone think I was paranoid. Paige stopped showing up to gatherings for a while. Then she sent me a message that was almost an apology if you tilted your head. I was just trying to be there for my friend. I didn't know she was going to involve you like that. I'm sorry it got so public. I did not respond. Maya wanted to. Please let me send one sentence, she said. No. One very short sentence. No. It would be elegant. I know. That's why no. The legal process was not cinematic. Anyone who tells you divorce is one dramatic confrontation, and then freedom has never spent 3 months sorting automatic payments, property questions, health coverage, tax documents, and who gets the couch neither person actually wants. There were emails, certified mail, scanned forms, questions about shared debt, questions about accounts, questions about the house. Marin kept me steady when I wanted to use anger as a shortcut. Anger is expensive, she said more than once. Let the records do the work. Celeste switched tactics depending on what she thought might land. Sometimes she was furious. You are punishing me for being human. Sometimes she was wounded. I needed support, and you turned everyone against me. Sometimes she tried nostalgia. Do you remember our first apartment? We used to eat cereal on the floor and laugh about being broke. I don't know when you stopped seeing me. That one hurt. I won't pretend it didn't. Because I did remember. I remembered the apartment, the cereal, the laughing. I remembered her sitting cross-legged in one of my old shirts, telling me she would never lie to me because lying was lazy and she hated lazy people. But nostalgia is not evidence of present honesty. It is just a door to a room that no longer exists. I replied to none of it directly. When communication was necessary, it went through Marin. Celeste accused me of hiding behind lawyers. Marin sent back, Luca is available for necessary written communication regarding separation, finances, property, and legal process. He is not available for emotional negotiation. That phrase became a boundary I could stand behind. Emotional negotiation. That was what Celeste wanted. Not conversation. Not repair. Negotiation. She wanted to trade tears for silence, vulnerability for accountability, old memories for new consent. The announcement itself became a legal matter handled with more care than drama. I will not detail every private aspect because not everything painful belongs to an audience. What mattered was simple. I did not sign anything. I did not make public statements accepting responsibility. I did not deny responsibilities that could become mine through truth. I required verification through proper channels and refused to let a dinner table performance decide anything that serious. Celeste called that cold. I called it the bare minimum after being used. A few months in, Lorraine asked Marin if she could meet me like adults. Marin forwarded the request. I said no. Maya asked if that felt harsh. No, I said. It feels unfamiliar. What does? Not explaining myself until people approve of my boundaries. She smiled a little. Good. The divorce moved forward. Not perfectly. Not cheaply. I lost money because that is what happens when a shared life is cut apart. I gave up things I could have fought for because peace was worth more than furniture. I fought hard on records, debt, and legal clarity because those were not emotional trophies. They were protection. The day the main agreement was signed, Marin called me. It's done, she said. I expected to feel victorious. I didn't. Mostly I felt tired. But it was a clean kind of tired, like the exhaustion after carrying something heavy out of your house and finally setting it down. I went back to the house one last time for a walkthrough. Celeste was not there. Her lawyer had arranged it that way. The rooms looked bigger without our things and smaller without our routines. In the kitchen, I stood by the same counter where her phone had lit up months earlier. For a second, I could see the whole scene again. The coffee, the strawberries, the glow of the screen. Her hand snatching the phone like the problem was my eyes instead of her message. I made coffee there one last time because I wanted to replace the memory with something ordinary. It tasted bitter because I forgot how much sugar I had left in the cabinet. I drank it anyway. After the divorce was finalized, people expected me to have some grand statement. I didn't. I deleted the couple's group chat. I muted Celeste's relatives. I stopped checking who liked whose posts. I let mutual friends sort themselves into people who could handle the truth and people who preferred clean myths. Tessa apologized eventually. I judged too fast. I thought exposing it at dinner was cruel, but I didn't understand she had designed the dinner to corner you. I'm sorry. I accepted that one because it named the thing accurately. Paige never tried again after I ignored her first message. Adrian disappeared from the edges of my life as quickly as he had entered them. From what I heard, he and Celeste lasted less than 2 months after the dinner. That surprised no one who had been paying attention. Affairs built on being chosen do not always survive becoming responsible. Celeste, though, did not let go of the idea that I had wronged her by refusing the role. Almost a year after the dinner, an email came through Marin's office connected to remaining paperwork from the house and a financial document that needed my signature. The practical part was simple. The emotional part was wrapped around it like wire. Luca, I know we are supposed to go through attorneys, but I hope you can be human about this. I need your signature, and I need you to stop treating me like I'm a stranger who attacked you. I made mistakes. I made one mistake that got bigger than I knew how to handle. But you humiliated me in front of everyone during the most vulnerable moment of my life. I hope someday you understand what that did to me. I read it twice, not because I was tempted to answer emotionally, but because the phrase, one mistake, sat there like a stain. One mistake. The affair was apparently one mistake. The cover stories were one mistake. Page lying was one mistake. The deleted calendar entries, the ride shares, the receipts, the messages to Adrian, the strategy about making me stuck in the story, the dinner reservation, the hand-holding, the speech about healing, the expectation that I would protect her image with my silence. One mistake. I forwarded it to Marin with my response. Please handle the paperwork. For the personal portion, you may tell her, the affair was one choice. The cover stories were another. The dinner was another. Letting me stand beside an announcement without the truth was another. I will sign necessary documents after review. I will not discuss the marriage directly. Marin made it cleaner, but she kept the center. Celeste replied 2 days later through her attorney. She says you ruined her announcement. My answer was one sentence. She chose the room. I brought the missing pages. That was the last personal message I sent. These days, my mornings are quieter. Not magically healed. Not movie ending perfect. Just quiet in a way that no longer feels like punishment. I make coffee for myself now, and there is no second mug cooling untouched on the counter. My phone sits face up because there is nothing on it that requires me to become a different person when someone walks into the room. I still think about that dinner sometimes. Not because I regret exposing her, but because I regret how long I let myself be trained to treat my own discomfort as evidence against me. For years, I thought dignity meant staying calm no matter what someone did. I thought being decent meant absorbing the hit, lowering my voice, keeping the peace, and hoping the truth would eventually be obvious to everyone. But silence can be edited. Calm can be weaponized. And if someone is building a lie that uses your name as the clean cover page, refusing to participate is not cruelty. Celeste thought I cared too much about looking decent to expose her. She forgot decent doesn't mean disposable. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.